Hi, Andy here, and today we're going to dive into 5 ways that you can improve, reignite, add a little bit more passion back into your marriage or relationship. Mr. Thewison and I have been married for 20 years, and I think that gives me a little bit of cloud. Of all things, I've got some experience in the marriage department. You know, in 20 years, we've had our ups, we've had our downs, but I would say the majority of that 20 years has been pretty dang happy, and we're lucky to have one another. So I thought I would share some of the things that have helped us to create an awesome relationship over the years, of one that we have, not only have we continued to just be married, but we've continued to grow together. And I think that's the biggest thing you can ask for, is to marry another human who helps you to become a better human and that you can grow together with. So let's dive right in. Here are 5 ways that you can add some more spice and reignite your marriage, and to help create one that you're excited about and that you feel connection again. Okay, so number 1, I want you to get really clear on what your ideal relationship looks like. This is a really great idea for you and your spouse to sit down and do this together. Have him write out what he needs in a relationship, you write out what you want in a relationship, and you get really clear on what that perfect relationship looks like for you. You might need different things than your spouse, and it's really clear on what that looks like. If you really like having long, deep conversations, get clear about it, write about it. If you want more trust in your relationship, write about that. Just get really clear on what your ideal marriage looks like. Like, you feel like you're disconnected and you're just kind of ships passing in the night and you don't really feel like you have a partner. Talk about how you want to spend your day, like connecting in the evenings and sharing your days, sharing your wins, being your partner's best friend. Those are the kind of things that you're going to write about here. And you're going to get really clear on it and be honest with yourself as to what you need and what you want in a relationship, and write that out and get really clear on it. That's how you're going to start to shift things and start to manifest a relationship that is more what you want and that honors you. All right, step number 2, I want you to get really clear on what you love about your partner. It is really easy, and this is something I do find quite a bit, is some of the things that we love most about our spouse when we were dating is kind of the things that drive us a little nutty the longer you've been together. So, for example, Kelly might not like me sharing this story, but I'm gonna share it anyway. Kelly is a neat freak. He loves things to be in perfect order all the time, which at first I thought was very cute, very endearing. I do too appreciate things being clean. But at the same time, I'm like, you know what? Let the dishes sit. Let's watch and cuddle and we'll take care of it later. Doesn't really work well for him. He likes to get in and get things done, which I have learned to not let irritate me anymore. Because there are a lot of times it kind of can get a little irritating, which is hard because he is a very helpful spouse. He really gets in, he helps, he takes care of a lot of things at our house, but sometimes it gets a little irritating when someone's like overly clean. So I have learned not to appreciate that about him. And when I find myself getting irritated, just remember that's part of who he is. And I love that about him. And I find it very endearing that he likes things so clean, and I just let it go. It's a very big thing. But here's another thing. This is something that I see when I get together with a bunch of women. Sometimes this happens. I always try to segue myself out of a conversation, but it's almost like a who husband does the worst crap stuff. It's like a husband bashing session where oh, he never does this and he never does this. I can't believe this. Oh my gosh, my husband too. Blah, 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 blah. And it just gets into this big, long bitch sesh about our husbands. And I hate that. Nobody needs to know about that stuff about your spouse. I love the spotlight effect. And what the spotlight effect is, where your focus goes, your energy goes. So if you're focusing on all the things that your spouse does wrong and that annoy you and that drive you nuts, guess what you're gonna see more of? All the things that your spouse does or your partner does that drives you nuts. But if you take time and you make a list of all the wonderful things that you're appreciative about your spouse and all the wonderful little things that they do for you every day, and you focus on that, guess what you're gonna see more of? you're gonna see more of those things that you appreciate about your spouse. That spotlight will shine bright on all the amazing things that you love about your spouse. One of my favorite tools when couples are struggling is I offer them that they do a gratitude journal. So every day they focus on maybe one or two things that their spouse did that day that they're grateful for. Maybe they handled a situation with a child really well and you're appreciative of that. Maybe they took out the trash. Maybe they didn't leave their socks on the ground right next to the dirty clothes pamper. They actually put them in the pamper. Like whatever those little things are every day that you are actually really grateful for, write them down. And do that for however you'd like. When I first tried this experiment, I did it for an entire year. Every day for an entire year, I wrote down something I was grateful for about Kelly or something that he did that endeared me to him. And I gave that to him as a gift that next year for Christmas. And it was kind of a really fun little gift that he cherishes today. But it was just finding that time every day to really focus on the beautiful things that I loved about him instead of focusing on the things that maybe drove me a little nuts. But that's another tool that you can use to improve your relationship. Really focus on the things that you love about your spouse and that you're grateful for. All right, put yourself in your husband's, your spouse's, I want to say husband because there's guys here and you got wives here. So put yourself in your spouse's shoes. When you get into an argument with a spouse or partner, it's really easy because you're so hell-bent on being right that you don't even think about your partner's feelings and what's going on in their life, what's going on in their world. You're so focused on being right. So the first thing I will tell you is ask yourself the question, will this matter in 5 years? Chances are it probably won't. There are some situations where there are arguments where there is a long-term effect because of the decision being made. Those are different types of conversations. But in most arguments, it's something that isn't even gonna matter in a week. It's like someone left the milk out. It's not gonna matter. So that's a question I always ask myself. I'm like, will this matter in 5 years? If it doesn't, I'll let it go. And that has been a huge thing for me and for my spouse, for Kelly as well. We just kind of let things go if it's not gonna matter. Game changer, guys. Game changer on that one. Okay, so once you ask yourself that question, you've kind of de-escalated yourself a little bit. Really kind of think about what might be going on and look at the situation through the lens of love. I always say that. What does this look like if we're looking at it through love? So if your husband comes home and he has had a day at work where every single thing could have gone wrong, he's been reprimanded because of things that went wrong or that they think that went wrong, and he's basically been told all day that he's doing things wrong. He comes home, he just wants peace, he wants quiet, he wants the love of a supportive spouse, and as soon as he walks through the door, you start berating him about more things that you think he's done wrong. How do you think that's gonna feel? How would you feel? After spending a whole day being told of things that you're doing wrong, and then you come home to the one place that you think you should feel safe and loved, and that's the first thing that hits you in the door. I think I would fly off the handle too. So really take a step back and think about how your spouse might be feeling in a certain situation. Maybe there's they had a phone call with a parent that didn't go well, or there's a million different things that lead to people's behaviors. Find out what it is. Have a question. If you feel like your spouse is kind of not in a good space, ask them, what's going on? What's going on with you? Why do I feel like you're off today? And have a conversation about it. Open those lines of communication. Be that safe place for your spouse. And always, always, always choose love. Enough said. Okay. Number 4 is the fun one. I want you to flirt. When couples first get together, you're always flirting. It just comes easily. It's effortless because you're still building that relationship and things are still new. But the longer you get married and the longer you're together, it's really easy to fall into that kind of a little bit more boring. You're not really putting your relationship first. This is when I want you to start flirting. Send flirty texts. Send, sexy pictures of yourself. Whatever you're comfortable with. There's no judgment here. There's some great apps that are a little bit more secretive if you want to send more suggestive photos. I think it's a good thing. But always choose to flirt and have fun with your spouse. There's so many great ways to do this. Kelly and I always try to, every quarter, do a weekend away, just the two of us. So it is an overnight trip. We either will like go somewhere here in the city that's close, or we'll go on an actual vacation away. But we always try to have that one-on-one time away from the house, away from the kids, and reconnect. Sometimes we'll play games where like he picks me up in the hotel lobby. Just have fun with it. That's how, after 20 years of marriage, I can honestly still say that we're crazy about each other. And that part of our marriage is still really strong because we work at it. We try to flirt. We try to have fun. We try to keep things interesting. I order Wannable. One of my sponsors has this great sleep and body edit where you can get fresh lingerie every month and delivered right to your door, so you don't have to go and like shop for it, because I do not like shopping. Unpopular opinion. So I have it directly delivered to my doorstep, and then we'll do like a fashion show and let him pick what he likes, and then we'll send back what we don't like. But it's a fun way that we kind of keep things fun and exciting every month. It's just a little thing that we can do. We definitely, date nights are a great idea, but keep the flirting, keep the romance alive. Intimacy is one of the first things to go when a relationship starts to unravel. So keep that physical intimacy that strong in your marriage, and it can be fun. Okay, this is a big one. And this was something that made a really big shift in our marriage. And this is something that I went through a few years ago. It's really easy to have our spouse be the owner of our happiness. They're responsible for making me happy. It's easy to get into that mentality. So if they're not making me happy, then it's their responsibility. So you get upset with them. There's hard feelings. It causes problems. So the biggest advice that I can give people, and this is something that has come with 20 years of marriage, is your spouse is not the owner of your happiness. You are responsible for you. Once I took that responsibility back to myself and released Kelly from the responsibility of being owner of my happiness, huge shifts were made in our relationship. I focused on me. I focused on making myself happy, and I focused on doing the things every day that brought me joy. Kelly did the same. So when we're both coming with a full happiness in ourselves, where we're already whole, we're not needing to take that part away from our spouse. We come together and we share our joy with each other, as opposed to trying to get it from the other person. That's how a strong marriage works, where you come together and you share your joy, you share your happiness, and not try to take it away from the other person or try to make that person responsible for your sole happiness. That's on you. You are the only person who is in charge of your own happiness. So that's not your spouse's job. That's on you. So another thing I really want to focus on is love languages. There's 5 of them, and you can be showing your spouse all day long that you love them, but if that's not how they like to be loved, they're not getting the memo. They might not know that you're showing love. So the 5 love languages are physical touch, not just sex, just hugging, love, cuddling. They just want to connect with you on a physical level. Number 2 is quality time. They need to have that one-on-one time with you, whether that be a date night, cuddling on the couch, a great walk outside where you're talking, connecting. That one-on-one time, or that quality time, is super important. 3rd is words of affirmation. They want to be told how much they're appreciated. And a big clue for some people, because words of affirmation kind of sometimes doesn't necessarily resonate, but if you are quickly hurt by words, that might be a sign that words of affirmation is your love language. Another is gifts. You like to give gifts, receive gifts. You feel loved when you're being showered with gifts. Acts of service. There it is. I knew I'd remember it. Acts of service. So Kelly, my husband, his love language, the way he gives love is acts of service. So he will go wash my car, or fill it up, or do the dishes. And that's him showering me with love. Not necessarily how I like to be loved. I appreciate it. I'm super appreciative of it. But to me, that doesn't necessarily calculate to, I love you, babe. I'm more of like, tell me that you love me. Words of affirmation here. But really understand and how you show love to others, and then also how you need to be loved. And then have that conversation with your spouse or partner. And so they know how you like to receive love, and then how you're showing love to them. That's a really big, important step to really get clear on in any relationship with your children, with your spouse. Just really understanding how you give and how you receive love can make a huge difference, because people need to understand how you show love. So I hope this message served you. Have a fantastic day, and I will see you next time.